Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Eve's Kitchen. Today I am going to be cooking some chicken and dumplings. I'm going to use egg noodle dumplings for that. So it could be chicken noodle soup if you wanted it to be, or the way I'm going to make it is a little thick. So it's just going to be chicken and dumplings tonight. No vegetables this time, and I'm not using flour dumplings. My goal is time-saving techniques and budget-friendly techniques as well. So a bag of the extra wide egg noodles is all I need for this. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and show you what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see that. Let me try to move that a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm using my good old trusty green pot here, as always, and I hope everybody is having a fantastic Thursday. Mine's been but this makes me feel better, so hopefully it'll make you all feel better too. I want to always offer as much encouragement as I possibly can to everybody to try to have the best day possible, even when things aren't always going how we want them to. It's not always easy, but it can be done. So I'm going to start with, I have these chicken breast cutlets that I bought, and I told you all before, but if you haven't seen me before, I buy the frozen bags of chicken breasts or chicken breast cutlets in the big bags out of the freezer section because they're easier to cook, they're faster, and they're thinner, so they cook up really quick. So for this recipe, I'm going to just cut a few of these pieces up. I'm sorry, let me get my knife out here. And yeah, I know touching chicken with my hands is like kind of ew, but it'll do, and I'll wash my hands really good after. So as you can see, they're just frozen chicken breast, thawed out chicken breast cutlets. And I usually slice mine into just really small slices. Probably about 1/4 of an inch wide. You can do bigger or smaller. You can make these, you can dice them. I probably will not make these very big. Probably going to just cube them. You can dice them or cube them, and if you don't, necessarily, you don't have to have a massive amount of cooking skill to do this. It's pretty easy. So I've got my pot on. I've got it about on medium-high right now, so I'm getting that going. And I'm just going to cut these up. And you can kind of see how I'm doing that. They're going to cook really fast, and it's really easy to do it that way. So today I want to kind of just talk about, how we live day to day. Try to encourage you to stay positive even when things are tough, because like I always tell you, I know it's not always easy to keep a smile on your face, especially when you're feeling bad about something, but the more you smile, the better you feel. That's what I've been told. And sometimes, just going on to maybe YouTube or Facebook Reels and watching, some funny puppy videos or animal videos will just help you feel better overall. If you're having a rough day, try not to stay trapped in those thoughts, because that is one of the things that will bring you down really quickly. Just because you're having a bad moment doesn't mean you have to have a bad day all the way around. You do have the ability at any given point to change how you feel about everything. So that's what I'm going to try to always remember to tell you, and I try to remember to do that myself. Like I said, it's not always easy, especially if you've got a lot of problems going on at home or something like that, but I figure if I can't control it and I can't do anything about it right at the moment, there's no point in wasting time worrying about it, because that's not going to help you at all. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of these started as soon as that pan gets warmed up. And what I'm going to use to cook these in is some butter. You can do olive oil if you'd like, but I think I'm just going to do butter tonight. Hopefully it doesn't flip out on me when I add this butter in there. I'm doing about 2 tablespoons or so. And in order to keep that from burning, I'm going to take that off the heat for just a minute. And I'm just going to dump that chicken right in there. And I'll season it up in a minute too, and I'll show you what I'm going to use for that. Once I get it going, I'll put it back on the heat. I just don't want that butter to scorch on me, because it has a tendency to do that. Alright, that'll work. I've got one more of these. Now, if you wanted more chicken, you can always add more. If you want less, you can also do turkey in here, if you'd like. But that's up to you. If you like turkey breast instead of chicken breast, that's an option too. So, like I said, I just want to encourage anyone today who might just be not having the best week, or maybe you're just not having a really good day, to try to remember to smile. Even when it feels like it's almost impossible to smile, I still want to encourage you to smile anyway. It's good for you, and it's contagious, as well as laughter. And if you don't have anything to laugh at, you can always laugh at me. I don't mind. Alright, so that's all the chicken that I have that I want to add to that. Let me wash my hands real quick. And I've got some dishwater over here, and anytime I cook chicken, anything, I always put a little bit of bleach in that dishwater, just so I know it's going to kill off any bacteria that you might get from that. But, so again, hope you're having a really good day. So, I want to talk about getting out of the habit of negative thinking. This is something I've had to learn over the course of the years. And I don't know why it's so much easier to revert back to a negative way of thinking that isn't productive for us as people. It just seems like sometimes it's just easier to think bad, because then I guess you don't get your hopes up and then get yourself disappointed by what you were hoping for. And by the way, I'm seasoning this with just some off-brand Mrs. Dash type thing. It's no salt. And I'm just going to put maybe a couple of tablespoons at the very most in there. Actually, that's probably about a tablespoon right there. I don't measure things, so I'm not sure. But you can measure it if you want to. I season my food to taste, so it's up to you ultimately how much you want to put in it. Because I'm going to season those noodles too. And this is a one-pot meal, again. I don't like to complicate everything. And it's super quick. It doesn't take very long. So we'll let that get cooked up a bit. Like I said, it's just butter and some of the Mrs. Dash. I'm not going to add anything else to that right now, or salt it or anything just yet. So it's really easy to get caught up in that negative way of thinking. I don't know why it's easier to revert back to that. I don't have an explanation for it. I just know that myself, if I don't stay on top of my thoughts and stay on top of my thinking patterns, that I will revert back to that as well. Because sometimes, to be honest, sometimes it only takes one little bad moment in a day to kind of make me start reverting back to that. But when I recognize it and I feel that coming on, and it takes practice, I try to remember to stop and breathe. If it isn't a life or death situation, it's not worth wasting your valuable energy on. Alright, I'm getting this cooked like I said. That's the reason I do these little small pieces of chicken, because they cook really quickly, and it is really easy. Doesn't take them much at all. So, like I said, I don't know why it's easier to revert back to that negative way of thinking. And it's okay to feel bad for a few minutes, but you don't have to. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not the boss of you. But it's helpful if you try to recognize it as soon as you start to feel that. And you know what it is for you personally. When you start to feel that feeling like, all right, I'm getting kind of pissed off here. Go ahead, give yourself a moment, and then just take a few deep breaths and refocus and recenter yourself. Just a few deep breaths is all it takes. You don't have to take an hour. Just a couple of minutes or a minute, or just to refocus. And remember that not everything has to affect you. You don't have to let everything affect you that way. And sometimes it's hard. I'm not going to lie. I'm just as human as the next lady. And sometimes I just get pissed off for no reason, apparently. I guess that's what happens when you're in your 50s. But that's what I heard. I don't know. It does seem like it, though, some days. But I try not to let myself stay there. Because it's not a good place for me to be. And I feel like it just wastes my time if I'm not... It's not productive at all to let myself, for me personally, get feeling like that. Actually, I feel like it makes the whole day worse. If I don't stop and refocus, I'll just let one little tiny thing ruin my entire day. And I think we're all probably guilty of that. I'm just a person, and I have the same feelings and emotions as everybody else. But I'm hoping that with some time and some practice, maybe I can help somebody else get out of that kind of negative way of thinking all the time. It's okay to think the negative things. It's okay to have those thoughts and feelings. It's just, if you stay there, it's just going to make you feel worse. It's not going to help. If you need to, like I said, just take a moment or two and just remember to stop and focus on where you are and what you're doing at that particular moment. Maybe focus on something in front of you or beside you, or put something in your hand that you can focus on, and kind of see if you can stray away from that negative mindset. I know it's easier said than done sometimes, and I totally get that. And I'm going to add some of this wood-fired garlic to this chicken for a last-minute kind of little kick, because I love garlic, so... You don't have to do that for yours. You can absolutely avoid the garlic altogether. Alright, I'm going to use the same pot. So what I'm going to do is get the water hot. I'm going to put the chicken in a bowl and set that to the side. And like I said, that was what, 3 or 4 minutes? That's all it really takes to cook these little small pieces. I'm going to leave all those little yummy bits in the bottom of the pan, like I always do. Get that water good and hot, or as hot as I can. And to that, I'm going to add 1 large can of the cream of chicken soup. It's a really good go-to base. And I am going to actually cook the noodles in this cream of chicken soup and the water. It'll give them a lot of flavor without all the extra work. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the same can. I'm going to fill that whole can up. I'm going to put that whole can of water in there. And let's see, I'm probably going to do 1 more of those. Because I'm not going to strain the noodles. I want that pasta water to be part of the chicken stuff. Let's see, that is probably going to be enough, but I might need to add more. Let's see here. Let me stir that up a little bit. So you don't have to use cream of chicken soup if you don't want to. You can always just use like a chicken bouillon, put a few cubes of that in your water if you'd prefer. Or you can use a chicken base. I've got this better than bouillon here. That will be fine in that also. And this says to use, let's see. It says 4 quarts of water. I don't really know how much quarts are. I don't worry about things like that. But I'm not going to use that much water in here. So I've got 2 cans of the water that are, what is this? Well, I don't know how many ounces this is. Hold on. This is a 26-ounce can. So that's 1 can of the cream of chicken soup. And then, so I've added, 52 ounces of water so far. I'm going to get that real smooth. And then I'm going to put that back on the heat. And once that gets to boiling, I'm going to dump that bag of dumplings in there. I'm going to dump the dumplings. I'm going to pour that bag of dumplings into the soup and water. You don't have to do that. I'm going to do it because that's the way I like it. And I might actually put some more water in that too. So to the base, water/soup base, I'm going to add a little bit more of that garlic and a little bit more of this no salt blend. It's just a knockoff of the Mrs. Dash. And if you don't like yours real peppery, and this one tends to be a little peppery, you can always kind of reduce that. And that's one of the reasons I'm not adding salt, is because there's a lot of salt in the chicken broth, the cream of chicken. I can't even talk. The cream of chicken soup. But you know what I'm trying to say, right? So, again, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about today, because I kind of felt that today too. That where I was starting to feel kind of negative about my job and negative about what I was doing at the moment. And I had to stop myself and remember that I don't have to let that control me. And I'm going to add another about 3/4 of this can full of water in there. There we go. That should be a little bit. Because I want it to at least have some water base. This is going to soak up a lot of that. The noodles are. So, like I said, I felt that myself today. I kind of felt like maybe I was kind of starting to feel just kind of cranky about everything, and just, I don't know, just that kind of way. Like I didn't want to be there, and was just kind of feeling some way about it. And I thought, well, I can do one or two things. I can let that dictate my mood for the rest of the day and ruin my whole day, or I can remember that in spite of where I'm at and the one little, glitch in the day, or how I was feeling about the job or whatever, I can choose not to do that. I can choose to have a happy day. It's my decision. And so I stopped for just a second and I took a few deep breaths and refocused myself on where I was at and how beautiful a day it was, and started looking at trees and the things that were around me. Really appreciating, what the world of nature has to offer. The blue sky, the white clouds. And it actually made me feel a little better, and maybe that's something that could work for someone else as well. I hope so. So again, it takes a lot of practice for me too. It takes daily reminders on how to go about my day where I don't let everything bother me, because some days it's easier than others, and some days I just feel like shit, and everything bugs me, and I don't want it to, but I'm a human, and it just happens like that sometimes, and I gotta recognize that it's okay to do that. It's okay to have those feelings. It's not bad. That doesn't mean anything bad. It just means that, you're just feeling it, and you feel what you feel. It is that way, but you don't have to let it dictate the rest of your day. And if you don't want to feel like that, then that's a great go-to. It's just to stop and refocus, recenter, look at the things around you and focus on something that's nice. Maybe some pretty flowers growing on the side of the road. Maybe there's some birds somewhere that are kind of cool looking, or, there's something to refocus on besides the bad thing that's going on. So that was just one of the things I wanted to touch on today. There's another one too that I am still bad about, and I'm working through and working on. Negative self-talk and negative self-image. And that's a biggie, because I think when you're younger and you're trying to fit into either some type of group or belong to something, some kind of program or whatever, there's this expectation of how you should feel about yourself and how you should look, your physical appearance, because let's face it, a lot of people are very superficial, and they're all about looks and how things look. And that's a them problem. That's not a you problem. I understand the need to want to fit in. I really do get that. Believe me, I feel that too sometimes. And I feel like, I look at some ladies my age, and I'm guilty of that too. And I think, oh, look how pretty and thin, and how she doesn't have any wrinkles. But then I have to remember, I am made how I was meant to be made. The excess weight gain notwithstanding, that I've developed in my 50s, that I could potentially get off, but that's another subject. I'm not joining the gym. I get that too, because I do feel like that, especially when I go out places and I see, how these women that are my age look. They're thin and they're pretty or what have you, and they got beautiful hair and beautiful nails, and I do feel that sometimes. I do get that negative self-image, but I will tell you that the negative self-talk is one of the worst things you can do. I will never purposely try to look in the mirror and say that I'm ugly or that I'm fat, I have to remember that I am just how I was meant to be made. And whether that is ugly to someone else isn't really my problem. That isn't going to change my life. Someone else's opinion on how I look isn't be all end all. And that, I hope that that goes for everybody. I hope that when you look in the mirror, you're not looking at yourself saying, oh, look how fat you are. Or, ooh, look at those wrinkles. These wrinkles are well earned. They've come with time and lessons, and I've gained wisdom. So if I have a few more wrinkles today than I had a few weeks ago, so what? If I have some gray hair, I'm okay with that. I've earned my stripes, and I try really, really hard, and I can thank my son for his help with that, not to say unhealthy things about myself. Okay, that's boiling nice. But I think it's actually harder. Let me take that off the heat for just a second. Let that come back down a little bit. Alright. My son is very adamant about the things I say to him about myself. He does not like to hear me say anything negative. Alright, so I'm adding pretty much a whole bag. And that is a 60-ounce bag, and it's just from Winn-Dixie. It's not anything special. And I'm going to cook these noodles right in here with the soup. And in spite of popular belief, now if you don't like pasta and carbs and all that, you are welcome to cook the noodles in just plain salted water and drain them off first before you do the soup and add more water to it. But it doesn't bother me, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave that just like that. And this is, I don't know if I can show you this, but I've got the noodles, and the water is just, the liquid is just at the top of the noodles. So that was just enough noodles. And you can always add more water later. You can't take it away, so that's why I don't add more at the beginning. Alright, so I'm going to let those cook some. And this is so easy, y'all. This is such an easy dinner to have. And it's one pot. And it doesn't take hardly any time. So I do want to encourage you to remember that whatever you say to yourself believes. If you're constantly downing yourself and doubting yourself and saying, I can't, your subconscious mind and your body believes whatever you say. So I'm trying really hard myself as well to get out of that negative self-talk. Oh, I'm so stupid. It seems so innocent to say that, but if you hear yourself saying that enough, eventually you're going to start believing that about yourself. And you're not going to find any happiness in your heart on just loving you for who you are if you let those kinds of things become a habit. So I want to say that if you don't do this already, try to remember that you're made just how you're supposed to be. And you don't even have to look in the mirror. You can just say to yourself, Self, I like you today. You're a really good person. Try to find something positive to say about yourself. Find something you do like. There's always something good in you. So you have a great heart. Say, for instance, me, I try to be really good to everyone, and I try to have a good sense of humor. So I can say to myself, hey, you know what? So what if this isn't, so what if you don't do your hair and nails or wear anything fake? You know what? You're funny. You have a great sense of humor. And I say that to myself. And I like my sense of humor. Not everybody does, but that's okay. It's not for everybody else. As long as I'm happy and not purposely trying to hurt someone's feelings with my sense of humor, that's okay for me. And I can find something that I like about myself and go on that instead of saying, oh, I forgot something, I'm so stupid. I really try hard not to say those words. Oh, I'm so dumb, or oh, I'm such a klutz, because again, your mind and body believe whatever you repeat to it. And if you constantly say things like that, that's how you're just kind of going to be all the time. And it's not going to get any better for you. And you're not ever really, I think, going to find any real true happiness and be able to love yourself the way you deserve. Because you deserve love. Everybody does. Everybody deserves love. Whether they're bad, good, or otherwise. Everyone deserves to feel loved. And if you're the only person that loves you, then that's enough. That's enough. If you're out looking for other people's validation, you're never going to find it, because not everyone has the same opinions or feelings about you as you do. Your opinion of you is what matters first and foremost. Alright, these noodles are cooking up really good, and I guess I should have told you how long to cook these. I usually just eyeball them and can tell when they start to kind of fall apart when I stir them. I know that they're pretty much done. So what their recommended cooking time is 8 to 9 minutes. So that's probably going to be just perfect. And you're going to see how easy this is to make. And it's so good. And you can add other things to that too if you like. You can put some diced onion in there if you like that sort of thing. I'm going to put some black pepper in it because I like pepper. But I'm not going to add any salt until after I fix the bowl and taste it. And as far as seasonings go, if you want more, add more. I can kind of see some in there. And I may add just a little bit more as well. But remember, the chicken is seasoned also, so when I put that back in there, that's going to add a little bit more seasoning to it. I think I might add just another little bit of this in there. And this is going to be really thick, but like I said, if you don't like yours thick, you can make this just a soup. It is versatile like that, so... But again, I wanted to remind everyone that you are worth loving, and your life is worth something to you. It's easier, I think, as you get older sometimes, to not worry about fitting in. And I understand the pressures that young people have to deal with in this world, because everything is geared towards looks and fashion and style, and I don't wear any of that stuff. I don't wear the latest anything. I'm wearing my Queensryche shirt because that's my shit, because I do love some Queensryche. I am an 80s child. But that's me. I don't care about name brands. I don't care about the best shoes, the name, the high-end brand purses and all of that. I'm a thrift store person. If I see something I like, I get it. It doesn't matter what the name is on it. If I do happen to get something with a name, it's not very often. I don't personally support those high-end names because I just don't. If you like that sort of thing, by all means, go ahead. But I don't care about any of those high-end brand names. They make millions of dollars just having a name, and it's just not. I'm not going to contribute to that if I can help it. Just so I can advertise for free for someone else's products. So, except for Queen's Right. So, again, I do understand that being a young person, it is different now than it was when I was younger. We weren't always looking to be the high fashion thing. We just wore, especially in the late 70s, early 80s, everybody was just kind of wearing whatever. And then in the mid 80s, again, there were things that were popular, but I'm not sure that I ever cared about what was popular. I think, for me personally, I just kind of was always tried to just pick the things I like, just because I like them, but not because I'm trying to fit in anywhere. I don't really have a group or a clique that I fit in with, even now, and that's okay. There's a lot of people I do like to be around. My friends that are musicians and people that are into that's, especially when they play rock music, that's my thing. That's where I fit well. And for me, it's perfect. I found that over the years that the metal scene is one of the most tolerant scenes that I've ever been in, because for some reason, metalheads just don't really seem to be worried about a lot of that superficial stuff. Some do. Now, I'm guilty of being in the Aquanet culture in the mid-'80s, so I did do the hair and the makeup and the Motley Crue and the Rat and Poison big hair things and the glam looks, and I went through all of that too. And I had fun with it, but that was then, this is now. Now I just kind of do whatever it makes me happy. And at the end of the day, the truth is, no matter what other people think, you're the only person that can really make you happy. Nobody outside of you has the ability to do that unless you give them the ability to do that. So these noodles, I'm going to try to see if I can let you see that. I don't know if you can see that or not. Here, let me turn that just a little more this way. These are pretty much soft and done. And I'm going to just cut one of them with the wooden spoon and see how that cuts. And if it's really easy, then they're done. If it's not, then it can cook just a few more minutes. But I'm still going to cook it a few more minutes anyway. And then I'm going to go ahead right now and dump all that chicken in there. Like I said, this is a super easy meal. And it'll last you a couple of days probably. And this is just a little more than half a pot of that. And it's really tasty. Again, if you don't like it thick, you can always thin it down some. And I leave the pasta in there, the pasta water, because it does help as a natural thickening agent. And it also adds a little more starchy flavor to the soup, or to the chicken and dumplings. And I'm going to do, I think maybe I am going to put just a tiny bit more water in that. Not much. Maybe about a half a cup or so. Just to kind of, because the noodles are soaking up the water pretty good. So I'm just going to add a little, there we go. And I think that ought to be perfect. And I'll spoon some of this into a bowl here in a minute so you can kind of see what the finished product looks like. But I do, like I said, And I know I'm repeating myself a lot, and I'm always going to do that because it's worth repeating. Remember that you have a choice. You do have a choice on how you respond. You can't necessarily control everything that everybody else is doing, but you damn sure can control how you feel and how you react. You don't have to let people make you angry or sad or feel bad about yourself. Believe it or not, you do have an option on that. It is a choice. And you're the only one that can choose which path you're going to walk down. For me, it's been a long, hard road. Again, because I've lost so many people, and my support system is really, really small, consisting only of mostly me and just my 2 sons, and my niece and nephew. And that's really kind of it. I don't reach out to other people for help because I don't want to become dependent on others to help me. I want to build my inner strength up myself. I want to build up how I feel about myself. And I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, you know what, I did the best I can. And I'm feeling pretty damn good about that. Are things still wrong? Absolutely. Does life still happen? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean I have to let that control how I perceive things. I try to remember that wherever there is anything negative, there is always something positive, because that is the yin and yang of the universe. It is the bad with the good with the bad, and it's all part and parcel. If you don't have the sun, if it's always dark and you never had the sun, you wouldn't appreciate the darkness, right? If it's always sunny and there was never any dark, you wouldn't appreciate the sun. And I try to kind of think that. There's always something to be grateful for. Even if it's just the shoes on your feet. That's a good start. If you can't think of anything else, start small. Gratitude is very helpful in helping you get through hard times as well. Alright, so that's pretty much going to be the end of this soup. I keep saying soup, but it's chicken and dumplings. The noodles are cooked. And I will show you. Let me see if I can spoon a bowl of that. Actually, let me use this. Spoon some into a bowl and see if you can see how that looks and the consistency and everything. And my guinea pig entered the room, so he'll be the first one that comes in here and tests this. So, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's what it looks like. Hey, would you mind putting the camera up to that so we can see? Yum. We need smell-o-vision. So that's what it looks like, and that's about the consistency that I wanted it. It's really going to be super tasty, super easy to cook. Thank you, Sam, for your help. I have awesome offspring for my extra set of hands. Say hi, Sam. This is my offspring, my youngest. He's an awesome person, and I hope that while I'm doing these videos, he's actually able to get something out of that as well, because I try to raise them that way too. And that's going to be the end of the day, end of the video for today. I hope everyone remembers that you're worth something. No matter what anyone else thinks of you, you're always worth something. You're never worthless. You're never useless. You have a purpose. There is a reason for you being here. And I see you watching. Hi. Yeah, I'm talking to you too. Everyone has a purpose. And hey, Jess. You're never useless to anyone. No matter what life throws at you, no matter how bad you feel, you always have a purpose, even if you don't recognize it or see it. And I want to encourage you to stay encouraged. And, of course we have to have my little cutesy pie underbite poor starving dog in the video. Oh my goodness, I know, she's adorable. It's awful. Self-love, and you can't get that from anywhere else. And if you don't have some sort of love for yourself, I really don't think you can ever have the ability to love someone else the way they should be loved. It's hard sometimes to look at yourself and say, hey, you know what? Maybe some people don't like me, and I'm okay with that. Because honestly, I feel the same way. Some people don't care for me. But do I give a shit? Not particularly, because at the end of the day, I'm the one responsible for me. I'm the one that has to take care of all my stuff. And it matters what I think more than what other people think. So keep that in your mind, hopefully. And remember, I love you. If nobody else ever tells you that, I love y'all. I think you're worth loving. And I wish you nothing but an absolutely fantastic rest of your evening and all the blessings and light that you can handle. So stay blessed, and thank you for watching if you're watching now. And y'all have a great evening. I'm going to eat some fat girl food and sit down and relax for the day. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.